Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And just a quick disclaimer, these are going to be some live trades that some of our students have taken. And I just wanted to remind you that there is a risk in trading futures and that you need to know what you're doing if you're ever going to trade futures. And these are for learning purposes only. So I hope you enjoy them. And just remember, it's not always as easy as we make it look, but it can be learned. So thanks for watching. Okay, this first trade that this trader's this is a losing trade that a trader sent me, and so it's a good learning opportunity, and he gave me permission to share it, so I will share it here. Notice that you got a trend channel working down, you got a close outside, and it did move to a new low, and there was a second entry long right here. You can see it's working a little sideways. At this point, if you're going to enter, you need to enter long on the second entry. The other issue is a lot of times you get two legs down to a new low. Uh, so you might want to wait on that before you go long right there. So I could see if you made a mistake and entered here, I could see that happening easier, but he actually goes long here above this bar. I believe it's this bar. We'll let it play out here in a minute and I'll let you watch it. But what you have to realize is after this bar formed, there's no doubt that's congestion. You are not getting rejection after this low here. So that means we're probably going lower, or at least going to make a second leg down. So after this bar, you'd have to sit tight. But instead, he goes long above. I think it's this bar. It may be the next one, but let's let it play out. So hopefully you understand there. If you're going to enter long, probably the place to have done it would have been here on the second entry. And I could see I could see somebody easily making that mistake. But once you see this next bar, there's clearly congestion. You got a doji there with, closes in the middle. Plus, he does not have the high. This is the overnight high and this is the overnight low. And if you draw that, which, your range, you would see you're right in the middle of a range, a possible range. I mean, it's obvious you got some resistance up here, but you're right in the middle of a possible range, which is usually what you're going to get during the overnight hours anyway, unless it's off on a big tear for a trend up. And that's not the case here. You can see we're clearly taking back at least half of this move. So you're entering in the middle of a range on top of that. So I'll show you a picture of my chart in a minute, how I would have had it drawn at this point. But let's watch the trade and watch it play out, and you can see what happens. But he's going to go long. This bar ends, it ends, I think the signal bar qualifies. I don't think there's any problem with that, but I think it's obvious there's congestion right there now. So that would be the real problem with him entering where he's entering here on this trade. If he'd have entered on this second entry, I'd have said, hey, anybody can make that mistake. That's a timing issue. It's it's a mistake anybody could make. Even a good trader might take a chance there and have a loser. So, but entering where he's entered here, it's clear by that time it's congestion. And unless you just have something else telling you prices are definitely going to go higher there, you're not getting any rejection. So I think hopefully he can easily see his mistake on where he did enter. And you can see there he got stopped out. So I appreciate this trader sending this. Most people will only send you the winners. You won't see a lot of losers. So I encourage you, any trade you take, send me, because we can learn from them. They're good learning experiences. And but yeah, it's definitely too congested here to be entering. So if you'd entered on this one, I'd said, okay, I can understand why you made that mistake. It's a second entry. You do have a close outside the new low on this micro channel, but the problem is you might have a bigger channel forming here. And without getting some rejection there you just have to kind of sit tight. And just remember, anytime, even on a micro channel, once you get that break, a lot of times you're going to get two legs down. not just what you're seeing here. But let's flip over to my chart and see what actually transpires after this. Okay, you can see this is where he entered, right above this bar, and it was just a trap. It's a long trap that traps him. It's congestion really, and notice again you got the channel working down. You get a close outside, a convincing close outside, and you end up getting a couple of swings down to a new low, and then it reverses. So if you wait on that to make sure there's not two legs, then you wouldn't get tripped up here, but you would also seen it was congestion here and known to probably sit tight, that prices are going to make another leg down. So yeah, I could see, again, I could see anybody getting tripped up on this second entry on the first setup here, but he didn't do that. He went long here. So hopefully you understand what he did wrong. This is more of a timing issue. He had the right idea. Prices, we're expecting prices to reverse and go higher, and that's the right idea because you do have a break and a new low in place, but it's timing. Sometimes you can have your read right, but your timing can be off. So this is more of an experience thing. With time and experience, you'll start to pick up on these. And again, if you went long in the second entry, even a good trader could say, okay, I'm going to take that's a second entry long. We got a break in a new low. I'm going to take a chance that I don't think we're going to get a second leg down, and just based on experience and be wrong there. So again, it's not your chart read is correct. You're expecting prices to go higher, but it's all a timing issue. So just don't forget that. It's not just about being able to understand the read, but sometimes it's a timing issue, and you have to learn to get that timing right. And sometimes it's easier said than done than it is in other times. So sometimes it's very clear and obvious, and sometimes it's not. So, but the key here, we'll wrap this trade up, was when this bar formed, it already looks sideways. Notice these bars are kind of working sideways, and you're not really, I would already probably have drawn something like this right here. And if you did draw that, or if I'll be honest with you. I don't always draw all the patterns because I can look at I've done this for 25 plus years. I can look at the chart and see it. I don't have to draw them, but I try to draw them so other people, so when I'm teaching, people can see it. But if you'd have drawn that right out of the gate, when it looked like that, you would say, hey, this looks a little congested. This is looking sideways. And definitely when you got that bar, yeah, that's telling you, hey, we've definitely got some congestion here. Now, he could have entered and it still could have gone back up to the top of this channel or this range here, I'm sorry. But the EMA is working down and that could come into play. So I would just sit tight here and wait and see if you get a failed breakout in one direction or the other. And guess what? You get a failed breakout to the low side. And you might have entered there. You probably want to wait on a higher low, but if you wait on a higher low, you don't get an entry there. But you could have, if you just waited on the failed breakout and took that entry right there, you're good to go. And as I talk about all the time, these failed break higher and lower, this is not a long-term range, but you're still expecting prices to reverse anyway. So if breakout here is probably going to fail. And again, I would wait on a higher low. Most of you need to wait on the higher low, and you don't get that. This is an inside bar, so you wouldn't go long above that either. You just don't get anything till here, and that's moved too far for a higher low. Now you might trade that as a reversal because it is a failed second entry short trap, just like this was up here. But this one takes off, and of course now you're working up, and you get a close outside and a new high. But again, you get two legs up. And then it reverses. So anyway, I hope that was a helpful, good learning opportunity there. I'm going to do one more trade, and then that'll be it for today. Okay, here's another trade. Let's set this up. We're in a downtrend already, but then we've been in this range here. And notice we did have a close outside his trend line. We didn't quite make a new low, and now we've started another leg up. You probably want to notice that would be one leg up, then a two-legged correction, and then another leg up. But draw this trend channel. Notice he gets a break and 2 legs up. So first of all, you got a failed breakout of this range. Secondly, you haven't made a new low, and that's a pretty strong downtrend. So prices are probably going to make a new low here anyway. So you would expect prices to try to work lower. So his read is to go. The prices are probably going to come lower, and that's a good read. He's got his read. So his issue here is if his read is right, it's going to be timing again. So that's why a lot of times I'll tell you to wait on a lower high, because he could be off on his timing here. He could enter and it take one more push up and then go down. But his read is good because he's expecting prices to go lower. I'd probably take this entry here too if it's a good signal bar. You want a good strong signal bar. I can't remember how his bar closes. It's close, but I think it closes. It meets our entry criteria, but I might have said, okay, I'll wait because that's not the best signal bar. But notice too that this is congestion. So I would treat that as a new low, and so actually you come back here where you got all these lows, so you could almost argue there's a second entry short there. Even by, if you don't include, that's by the actual counts, but I would probably consider that a breakout of congestion, and one leg, then a correction, then another leg, even though you got a little break lower right there. That's the little trap, and then it runs everybody's stops, and now it's likely to turn down. So that's another reason I might like entering here, because they've probably trapped people to the upside now. People that don't understand what's going on here, they teach you to buy breakouts, and people didn't get in here, and they're saying, oh, it's going higher. If it goes higher, I better get in. They jump in, and of course it reverses on them instantly. That's what usually happens to traders that just can't read the chart, and they're just following momentum and stuff, and they're always too late. So, but let's watch this play out. All right, his bar's finished. He's got his order one tick below, which that's proper. Now he's going to move his safety stop to one tick above his signal bar, and now just let it play out. It's, now you're going to find out if your read was correct or you're early or whatever. And he could still be early and still get scalp out of this, because he is a good distance from the EMA too. I didn't mention that. That's another reason to, prices are going to come back to that EMA pretty quickly. And he's just scalping one contract, but there it is. Great. He's out. I mean, the whole trade lasted less than 50 seconds. That's including waiting on it to set up and everything else. So nice trade there. Again, you might wait on the lower high just to be safe. And a lot of times you don't get the lower high. That's the thing. So you got to decide, do I trust my read enough to be a little aggressive here and not wait on the lower high, or do I wait and maybe I miss the trade? But it's always better to miss a trade than to take a loser. So that's what people are struggling with sometimes. I may not get another opportunity. Should I wait? But you're always better off to wait and be more conservative. And if this trade doesn't set up and you miss it, you just have to wait on another one. But eventually a nice, conservative, easy to read trade is going to come along. And that's the one you have to take. And so it's just the way it is. And there's not much you can do about it. Now this trade right here, notice you got a channel working up. You would have had a close outside, a move to a new high, and you're right at the main key entry point, and that would have been a second entry short, and that's a good signal bar. Now that's a fairly conservative trade, even though it's because you've got multiple reasons to be for prices to come back. One, you got 2 legs back to the key entry point, even though you got a break there. But if you draw your trend channel, you got a break of that and a new high too. So you got all your signals, and then it's the second entry, and you're way away from the EMA, and you're expecting prices to go lower. That's probably a little more conservative than entering on this high on this one. So anyway, I hope that's another good learning opportunity there. And look at the bigger picture. You got a move up, a 2-legged correction, and another move up. if you measure those, they're almost a perfect measured move. You got a little stem up here, but if you measure it by the close there from here to the close, it's a perfect measured move, I believe. I'm just measuring it with my fingers because I can't work this chart, but that's basically a perfect measured move, and this is going to be a little failed break higher that traps people to the long side. So nice trade. But you can see it's very similar to the other trade, and it's a timing issue. And so you have to decide, you have to be able to use your experience and your reasoning and your deductions to determine, do I think this is a sure thing or no? And if you don't, wait. Just sit tight and wait. Wait on the lower high, see if it comes. If it doesn't come, just wait on another setup. And that's what really separates a great trader from somebody that's close. Your ability to be patient, to be able to sit tight and watch a trade that you saw but weren't quite sure about go without you. That's what really gets people. You sit here and you wait, and then you talk yourself out of this trade because it's a little bit, it's probably a little bit still not 100. Let me try to get my words right here. It's not 100% that you're going to, this trade's going to work. It's real high probability, but it's not 100%. So you decide, I'm going to wait on another trade, and then this thing takes off and it just, the bottom falls out of it, and you didn't take it. That's what really gets to inexperienced traders. They'll say, I can't do that anymore. I got to pull the trigger. But if you weren't 100% sure and you didn't pull the trigger, you did the right thing. So don't worry about that move. Just like this right here. If you, I can't see this up here, but let's assume there was an entry there and you waited because it's only a first entry and you're not 100% sure, but look at that thing go. And so you decide, next time I'm getting in that trade. And let's just say you got in right here on a second entry, and it looks like this would have worked anyway, but just say it turned up there and went to the next leg and you got stopped out. So you have to wait on the right read, and you can't let a big move shake you up and say, I should have seen that and got in on it, because you got to make a decision based on what you can see. And you don't know, you may not know this is the kind of move it's going to give you, but it may give you that kind of move and you missed it. But don't let that shake you up. Just sit tight, wait on the next setup, and when it comes, take it. If you think it's a sure thing and it fits our entry criteria. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. Hopefully you learned something today. Thanks for these guys for sharing their trades. Continue to share them with me, winners or losers. They're all good learning opportunities. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.